Hello everyone, welcome to my YouTube channel SOCWatchTower. So in this video of our SOC analyst series, we will be covering about computer networking. If you want to be a SOC analyst, you need to understand how devices in a network communicate. So today we are starting with our network devices, that is hub, switch and router. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what these devices, hub, switch, and router are, how they work, and why SOC analysts should care about it. So let's move it to our first network device, that is hub. So hub is basically a networking device that connect multiple computers in a network. So when a hub receives data from one device, it broadcasts it to all others connected devices, regardless of the intended recipients. So let's take an example. So this is, let's consider this as an hub and all these as an devices, and among all these devices there is one device that is intended recipient, which was supposed to receive the message from hub. So what hub actually does is, instead of sending data to the intended recipient, it broadcasts the message to all the recipient or the devices which are actually connected to a hub. That's the reason it is called as dumb device. It broadcasts data to all the connected device. Okay, so I'll give you a real life example. So for example, let's consider this a this and this is an room. Okay, and imagine you are in the middle. Okay, and in that particular room there are many other users who are present in the room. Okay, so imagine shouting a message which was intended for this particular person. Okay, but instead of that, as soon as you shout, everyone else present in the room going to hear your message. Okay, so the message which you will be shouting in a room, it will be broadcasted to all the persons who are present in that room, in addition to the intended recipient. Okay, that's the reason hub is actually called as a dumb device. Okay, so how, let's move to working of hub, how actually hub work. Okay, so hub actually operates on layer 1 of the OSI model. So we will be understanding about OSI model in a very brief manner in our upcoming videos. Okay, so hub is a layer 1 device. Okay, and layer 1 is a physical layer in our OSI model. Okay, so hub doesn't read IP addresses or MAC addresses while broadcasting the message. Because of this, data collision can occur when two devices send data at the same time. Okay, so why hub is relevant to SOC? So traffic is easy to sniff because it is broadcasted, rarely used in modern network but still important for historical knowledge. So understanding helps SOC analysts identify unsecured networks or a legacy system. Okay, so there are some legacy office network may still have hub connecting to a few devices. So as a SOC analyst, knowing about how hubs helps you understand traffic pattern and potential vulnerability in the older systems. Okay, so that is actually a hub device. Moving to our second network device, that is switch. Okay, so a switch is a network device that connect multiple devices within a local area network. So unlike a hub, switch does not broadcast data to all devices. Instead, it sends data only to the intended recipient. So for example, this is a switch. Okay, there are multiple devices connected to a switch. So for example, this is the intended recipient. So unlike the hub, it will not broadcast the message to all the devices. Rather, it will intend and send message or broadcast the message to only to the intended recipient, that is this particular device. Okay, so switch uses MAC addresses to decide where to forward data. Okay, so MAC is a MAC actually stand for media access control addresses. Okay, so MAC is basically a unique identifier assigned to a device network's interface like Wi-Fi or an Ethernet. So you can consider MAC as an it is basically a hardware based which is being assigned by the menu manufacturer. Okay, so moving to how actually switch works. So for example, when a device sends data to a switch, the switch reads the source and the destination MAC addresses which is being stored in a MAC address table, and it will forward data only to the correct port. Okay, so this particular switch is going to read the source and the destination MAC address. So in this case, this particular device is a destination, and the switch is going to read the MAC address of this particular intended recipient, and it will forward data only to this particular device. How? Via a MAC address. What is MAC address? MAC address is a unique identifier which is unique for this particular device, and it is hardware based assigned by the manufacturer. Okay, so for from a SOC perspective, how switch is actually relevant. So switch actually handles internal traffic. Okay, so attacker often uses switch during a lateral movement. Okay, and the common attack types are ARP spoofing and MAC flooding. Okay, so SOC analyst should analyze the related logs which are related to the switch, and uh, they should analyze the alert to detect the suspicious internal behavior. Okay, that is actually a switch. And in addition to that, switch is a layer 2 device, that is a data link layer in OSI model. Okay, that is actually a switch. Now we'll move towards our next network device that is very important, that is router. Okay, so router is basically a networking device that connect different network together. So while switch connects within the same LAN, router connect a local network to the internet and one internal network to another internal network. So router make forwarding decision using IP addresses. Remember, forwarding decision using IP addresses, not MAC addresses. Okay, forward decision using IP address, not MAC address. This is very important point. Just remember that router IP addresses, switch MAC addresses. Okay, so I'll give you a simple example. So if a switch is like a mail room inside a building, a router is a post office that sends mail between different buildings and the cities. That is a very simple explanation of a router. Okay, so how actually router work? Okay, so when data actually reach to a router, router reads the destination IP addresses, checks its routing table, and determine the best path to forward the data. Okay, so there are few key points which we have to remember. Okay, key points to remember. First is router operates at layer 3. What is layer 3? Layer 3 is network layer of the OSI model. Okay, they separate broadcast domain. Router perform netting, that is NAT, that is network address translation. Don't worry about all this wordings like NAT, PAT. We will be going to understand with a briefly manner in our upcoming videos. Okay, performs firewall filtering, control traffic. Okay, so from a SOC perspective, router are a very critical devices. Okay, So if we talk about the relevance of router in a SOC domain, it is very high. Okay, so routers sit at the network perimeter. They control the incoming and the outgoing traffic. Misconfigured router are the major attack vector. Just remember, misconfigured router are the major attack vector. Okay, so common router related threats are, will see few common router related threats, which are unauthorized access, malicious routing changes, and we can consider as DDoS traffic passing through edge router. Okay, so SOC analyst should monitor router logs, traffic spikes, blocked and the unblocked, or we can say blocked or the allowed connections, and the suspicious external IP traffic. Okay, this is about the layer 3 device, that is router, which actually work on layer 3 of the OSI model. Okay, now moving to our real world example, where in an office network, in an office network, employee connects to switches, switches connects to router, and router connects to the internet. And what does SOC do? SOC monitors internal traffic for anomalies. Okay, so employee is connected to switch, and switch is actually connected to router, and router is connected to the internet. Okay, so for example, if one system suddenly start communicating with many internal system, you can, like, it could be a lateral movement. Okay, so if a router suddenly allows traffic from a known malicious IP ranges, a SOC analyst must investigate immediately. Okay, router are often the first line of defense between the attacker and the internal systems. Okay, so that is actually our end of the third network device, that is router. Okay, so we'll go through the final recap. Okay, of all the three network devices which we discussed. Okay, so let's start with hub, after that switch, after that router. Okay, so hub is a layer 1 device, that is our physical layer. Switch is a layer 2 device, which is our data link layer. Router is a layer 3 device, that is our network. All this falls in OSI model. All this layer falls in OSI model. Okay. Hub broadcast message to all. Okay, that's the reason it is called as a dumb device. Okay, switch sends message to intended recipient using, remember this, using, okay, using, give me a second, send message to an intended recipient using MAC address. Remember this, using MAC address. Okay, that's the reason it is called as a smart device. Okay, why? Unlike the hub, it doesn't broadcast message to all the devices which are being connected to a switch. Okay, moving to our third, that is router. Okay, it route via IP address. Okay, and it is a layer 3 device. Remember this as a critical device in all of the three devices, network devices which we have discussed: hub, switch, and the router. So remember one thing: hub are insecure and outdated. Okay, switches are smarter, and router connects the network. Okay, so now you actually understand, right, how data move through a network from hub to switches to router. Okay, so as a SOC analyst, knowing where traffic flows, which devices make decision is critical for detecting attacks and abnormal behavior. So in the next video, we will take this one step further and break down about the IP addressing and the IP classes, what they are, how they work, and why every SOC analyst must understand them to track attackers and analyze the network traffic. So if this video helped you, like, subscribe, and turn on the notification so you don't miss the next lesson. Okay, so this is SOC Watchtower, and I'll see you in the next video. Thank you.